Before I begin this video, I want to shout out Kirsten from Kirsten's Corner. She's the one who did my channel art. She's incredibly talented. You can enter her giveaway on her Instagram. I'll link her social medias, her channels, and everything all down below, so go check her out. I kind of have only a select number of books to choose from because 1/4 of them have been rereads and then another 1/4 of them have been graphic novels because I've just kind of been in a reading slump. I'm just not really motivated. I think when, everything started back in March, I was really motivated. I'm like, yes, I'm getting my reading in, and then I kind of burnt myself out a little bit. So then at the beginning of summer, I've just been kind of dabbling here and there, and graphic novels just really helped me get back into reading and get out of that slumpish period. And I can safely say I'm out of that slumpish area now and I'm actually reading again. But for now, with half the year gone, I kind of only have a few books to choose from because I don't want to choose books that I've read previously, and the graphic novels I read were kind of just get my mind into reading. Most of them didn't really stick with me that much, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's just get started. The first question is, what is the best book you've read? So for this, I don't know if it's obvious or not. I dropped Harry. It's Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. The thing with this book, it was just my recipe. I love Cassie Clare. I've been reading her forever. I have been waiting for these characters' stories forever. Queen of Air and Darkness right here, was a little bit disappointing to me, and I just didn't have that high expectations for this book. So when I read this book, I was surprised. And Chain of Gold is also kind of the reason I'm on, what is this platform? BookTube? Yes. Because after reading Chain of Gold, I was like, where are the people that want to talk about this book? Because I loved it so much. And then that's how I found Book Twitter. And then I was like, whoa. I've been watching BookTube, but Book Twitter? That place gets and then that kind of motivated me to share my love for Chain of Gold on YouTube, and hence this channel came to be. So you have Chain of Gold to thank for that. I love this book. I should explain what it's about. Good idea, Nidhi. So Chain of Gold follows these demon hunting heroes called shadow hunters in the Edwardian era in London. There's this new demon, or demons, that can now kill people in the daylight. So there's this mystery that needs to be solved on what is causing these demons to exist. We follow a big cast of characters, and it's more than just the mystery. We also follow the characters' relationships and things that develop between them, and it's the best time ever. I think this is an objectively good book, but I understand how it's not everyone's cup of tea, if you know what I mean. Because I love Cassie. I was anticipating this book for so long. I didn't even have high expectations because, as I said before, this didn't really stick it for me. It's understandable if you find Cassie's books uninteresting or repetitive, and then Chain of Gold might not be for you. But that's unfortunate because that's your problem, not mine, because this book is my favorite book ever. I believe in my first video where I sorted all of the Chain of Gold characters into their Hogwarts houses, I said I'd be sorting all of the rest of the Shadowhunters characters into their respective Hogwarts houses, but with the resurfacing of J.K. Rowling's transphobia, no. It's not happening. No. My computer's down here, by the way, if I keep looking down. The next question is, what is the best sequel you've read? I read all 3 volumes of Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, which is a graphic novel series. I believe it's also a web comics before it's bound up into a graphic novel. It's just, wow, it's so cute. How do I explain it? It's about these 2 boys named Nick and Charlie, and it's about their friendship. It's a tale about loyalty and love. It also deals with mental health representation. It's just about their lives together, and it made my heart so happy. My favorite out of all 3 of them would have to be volume 2. It's just so cute, so cute. Please pick it up. The next question is, what is a new release you haven't read but want to? For that, I'm going with The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. Marie Lu is my goddess. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. Legend right there is, I think, the first series I read after discovering BookTube in 2017, and I had the most wonderful time reading it. I absolutely love the characters in that book, or that trilogy, my bad. Should I explain that trilogy? I feel like you already know. It's classic dystopian. It's just it's such a nostalgic read to me. She's just such an author that knows how to do her characters very well, and as a character-based reader, that's something I tend to enjoy. All I know about Kingdom of Back is that it follows Mozart's sister, and it has some fantasy elements, and I guess there's a kingdom. I haven't seen almost anyone talking about this. It came out, I think, in March. Also, I really want to read The Midnight Light. It's by the same author who wrote the Winter's Kiss trilogy, and when I read the Winter's Kiss trilogy in 2018, it blew me away. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I need to reread it. I need to reread it soon. I honestly don't remember the plot of that trilogy at all. I just remember really liking it. I have heard interesting things about this new release, so I want to like make that decision myself of what I think about it. I don't really know much about The Midnight Lie. All I know is that it's compared to The Hunger Games. So I've heard though it's in a series, and I like certain series when they're over because like why would I want to like wait for the next book to come out? So I'm honestly probably not even gonna read it by the end of this year, but it's on this list because I want to read it. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? That's going to go to The Silvered Serpents by Roshni Chokshi. It was actually supposed to be released in February and then they pushed it back, which made me really sad. I read The Gilded Wolves last year and I gave that book 4 stars because I think I had my expectations a little bit too high. The Gilded Wolves follows these unlikely team of thieves. There's a heist, there's secret societies, there's some magic, and all of that together just sounded like up my alley and something I would really like. Overall, I think I was just confused. The magic system is like a type of magic system that I think it's going to expand and become more clear in later books, but in the first book I was just like, what is happening? Like what? But her writing is also very flowery and whimsical, which I love, but when I'm already confused, I was just like, hold on. I also have met her. She's the first and only author I've ever met, and she was just such a gem. She's such a gem. Like, she's so pure. So I can't wait for the sequel because Severin and Layla, like, look at them. They're just like, they're excellent. Also this book. This book better ruin me. This book better leave me in shambles. This book better make me cry like there's no tomorrow or make me forget every other book in existence, because Victoria Schwab does that to me every time. Well, almost every time. And what I've heard about this book, it's that it's God tier. So it better live up. I'm hoping. My southern accent really came out. The next question is, which book was the biggest surprise? I actually have quite a few answers for this. The first book that I'm going to give this to is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I bet you've already heard some booktubers rave about this book, and as they should. You know those books where you just don't want to do anything but sit and think about it, where if somebody talks to you, you just want to be like, whoa, wait, don't talk to me. Have you read this book? That was me after I read Scythe. Scythe is about a futuristic dystopia, utopia, where humans have conquered death, and now there are these sides that decide how to keep the population in balance. Most booktubers pitch it as a book. Why do I keep moving my hands? Most booktubers pitch it as a book that makes you think about your surroundings and lets you stop and assess like everything. And that's very true, and I very much did that. I loved it for so much more than that. I love the writing, I love the characters, I love the intricate plot points that are put in. I loved every aspect that was intertwined together. So this book was just so much more to me than just a thought-provoking book. Neil Shusterman is an author I definitely need to read more of. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I stayed up so late reading this. I finished it in like one day, which isn't that uncommon for me, but like it was on a school night. I remember the next day being so tired, and anybody who came up to me, I wanted to be like, yo, have you read this book yet? Because you should read this book. The rest of the series though, you might have to skip it, Chief. It really went downhill. I loved the first book for the 2 main characters, and in the rest of the series it follows multiple other characters, and I just like, I wanted my faves back, so it didn't really do it for me. But Neil Shusterman, fantastic writer. Like, the power this man possesses, unmatched. Still like one of my favorite series of all time, but I just wish the other 2 books were like as good. Also, this book, Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, y'all are gonna have to wait till my June wrap up because I have some thoughts on it. Just for some like backstory, I guess, I gave The Cruel Prince 1.5 stars, I gave The Wicked King 2.5 stars, and I gave Queen of Nothing, it was almost 5 stars, but I gave it 4 stars in the end. I absolutely hated The Cruel Prince, and Queen of Nothing, it slapped, bro. It did something. It really did. And maybe I'll just be mentioning Chain of Gold this entire video, but like, it just really surprised me. I also finished it in one day. I had such a fantastic time reading it. I remember we had a sub in chem, and all I did was just sit on the floor and then fly through this book. As I said before, I see how it's not for everyone. When I see people like disliking this book, I feel like I have to defend myself. I've read it 5 times now. I'm actually annotating it in my 6th reread. I never annotate books, so this is something new. I've read it via audiobook, via physical book, via ebook. Like, I've been thorough. It's so good. The next question is, which book was the biggest disappointment? For this question, I think I'm gonna have to go with The Torch Against the Night by Saba Tahir. I'm not even gonna explain what this series is about because frankly I don't really know. I just gave the first book 4 stars, and I really loved the relationship that developed between the 2 main characters. And then A Torch Against the Night, it started out great, but it just got really slow, and I'll also be explaining this in my June wrap up. I gave it 2 stars. It didn't hit it for me. It just went a lot of turns that like I personally didn't care for. I don't think I'll be continuing with this series. How do I describe what happened? It's just when I get disconnected from the characters, I just stop really caring about the character journey in general and start focusing, I guess, more on the plot and the actual like moving parts of the story. And when that is boring as well, I just don't continue to care. The next question is favorite new author. For this, I'm going with Tara Westover. Tara Westover is just such an inspiring woman. I'm so sad she only has 1 book out, which is Educated. I want to explain what Educated is about, but like I don't think I can because it's just that good. I'll leave a Goodreads review below that I wrote that has, I guess, more of my detailed thoughts. Well, it's not even detailed, it's just like a splurge of emotions I was feeling at the time. It follows Tara through her life where she's raised in an abusive household where her parents are extremely religious, where they don't believe in modern medicine or education, and they're kind of secluded from everything. And it shows her growth as someone who is gaining her education, gaining a lens into what is outside her family's protective bubble. I gave it 5 stars, obviously. It's so conflicting, it's so emotional. I love when religion is discussed in books, when it's discussed well. When it's discussed well, I like it. And it gave me so much insight on Mormonism. I love the characters, I love the pacing. I don't read memoirs and nonfiction often because like, why would I want to be bored like that? I only read it if there's like high praise for it, which this book got. It lived up to it, I'll just tell you, and it's phenomenal. You should pick it up. The next question is newest fictional crush. I'm gonna have to go with James Herondale for that. Like he could get it any day, if you know what I'm talking about. My Tumblr right now is basically a James and Cordelia like fan page. It's not even like I want James for myself. I want Cordelia and him to like, you know, happen. So Chain of Iron better deliver. Like James is just such a pure, kind, genuine individual who values friendship above anything else, will do anything for the people he loves, and him and Cordelia are like, they're soulmates. They're destined to be, hey Google, stop. They're just destined to be together, and they're just destined to just live the best life ever because they deserve it. They really do. They really do. They have the red and the black parallels, the fire and the shadow trope, the light and the dark trope. Like they're just like The next question is favorite new character. That is so easy. I'm already holding up the book. It's Cordelia Carstairs. This woman is so strong, so independent, so intelligent. She's always just trying to do the best she can. She's so fearless. She just marches headfirst into battle. She's such a great character, and I can't wait to see where the series goes. Next is name a book that made you cry. I don't necessarily cry in books. So I guess the closest book that made me like really want to cry is my AMSCO, which is my textbook. Do y'all mark your textbooks on Goodreads? I do. If I had to read it, it's going in there. Honestly, AP US History wasn't even that bad. Like, I love government and politics. It's just like the stimulus-based questions. For our AP exam, we just had to write like a 45-minute DBQ. So like, keep me in your prayers. Actually, I take it back. I read a book last night. It's a graphic memoir. I'll put the title right here. I had to return it. It had something to do with the shadow. I don't know, but I'll put it right here. How do I explain this book? There are a bunch of trigger warnings and content warnings for this book, which I'll put down below. It really did make me cry. It deals with the author's history of anorexia, anxiety, sexual abuse. I wanted to give her a hug. I wanted to just be there for her. I wanted to tell her that like, it's gonna get better. It's gonna be okay. And I just wanted to help her, and I would check the content warnings and trigger warnings, as I said again. It was such a great insight. I don't know, but it made me cry. So next is name a book that made you happy. For that, I'm gonna go with The Witch Doesn't Burn in This One by Amanda Lovelace. I've read all of Amanda Lovelace's books, and none of her works stand out to me as this one. In fact, I would recommend not reading her other works and just reading this one, because this is the only one I genuinely liked. I don't know if I said this earlier, but I also was like dabbling in some poetry early on in the year, and like I'm not doing that anymore. I've seen enough. The day I read this book was wonderful. I took a mental health day every day of the month last year during sophomore year, because it was, quite frankly, the worst year of my life. I mean that in the happiest way possible. I'm thriving now, because we don't have school. So my mental health days really consisted of me just staying at home, dealing with stuff I want to deal with, catching up on schoolwork. There's just something so freeing of the thought of you being at home while everyone is just at school learning, because you're just like doing your own thing. So I would recommend it. Was it good for my attendance record? Probably not. So I just settled in on my bed and just read this book, and I flew through it. It's magnificent, especially in today's culture. Even though it was written a few years back, all of the themes are still so relevant today. Some of the themes include feminism, the wage gap, breaking the glass ceiling, misogyny. It's basically a modern poetry collection that's criticizing the patriarchy, and you know I'm in for that. I'm in for that. I would read that. It explains the women hidden in layers and layers and layers of institutionalized male dominance on our culture, and it also parallels the Salem witch trials where women were persecuted for inherently just like being women. So yeah, it just made me happy to just read about women empowerment, because like who doesn't want to read about feminism? I'm actually gonna choose another book for this, and that's gonna be Rebel, which is the 4th installment of the Legend trilogy. I liked it because I love the Legend series. I loved seeing June and Day again. I loved exploring life after Legend, and yeah. Honestly, like I understand if the plot was boring for some people, or even if like some people didn't pick it up, but like Legend just has such a special place in my heart as it being like the series that like BookTube introduced me to, and it's just like characters that I fell in love with. So like it just made me happy to resurface that level of enjoyment. I would say we followed like 2 different main characters and we just didn't give enough like relationship building to them. Next is, what is the most beautiful book you have bought this year? This is the only book I've actually bought this year. I don't buy books that I don't already like. I don't know if that's like weird, but I have a wonderful library system that has a vast selection of books and orders books whenever their patrons need it, so I just never had the need for buying books that I didn't already like. She's just so stunning. But like the Chain of Iron cover, I don't know, Chief. I don't know. Okay, the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Wow. What a question. Basically my whole TBR, I don't even want to talk about it, it's pretty bad. Very high on the list though is the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I've read the Six of Crows duology 3 times. 3 times I had the opportunity to just shift my focus to the Grisha trilogy, and guess who didn't do that? I just need to read it. I know it's not going to be that good, so I don't have high expectations at all, because everyone tells me I should just skip it. I also really want to read the End I Darken trilogy. I've heard good things about it. I want to read Furyborn too, because I heard the last book is coming out this year. I think I'll like it. Fantasy is usually a hit or miss for me. It just depends on how much I like the characters, so I'm hoping I like it. Tell me if you like this book, because like, I don't know. I don't know. I also really want to read Where the Crawdads Sing, and there's just like a bunch of literary fiction on my TBR that I always say I'm gonna read, but like it's just mainly things on my backlist I need to like catch up on. Anyways, that's it. That's my mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you were freaked out, so thank you for watching.